tonight we're going to be making the world's most delicious cheesecake. You are going to love this recipe. So tonight's cheesecake is going to have a little bit of a different twist. And instead of having the traditional graham cracker crumb crust, this is actually going to have a very special crust because we're going to be using a pecan shortbread cookie for our crust. So let me show you how I do it. So we are going to start off by melting a half of a cup of butter, which is 1 stick, and we're going to pour this into our pan. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our pecan shortbread cookies and we're just going to throw them into a food processor. Now, if you would rather take these cookies and use a hammer or a rolling pin, whatever you need to do to crush them, you go right ahead. So I'm just gonna run these through the food processor until we come up with 1.5 cups of shortbread. Oh, those smell yummy. Wow, okay. So I'm probably gonna have to run this a couple of times. This is a small food processor, so I'm just gonna pour what I have in here. Okay, perfect. 1.5 cups. So we're left with about 5 shortbread cookies left. So you're going to use just a little over 2/3 of the box of cookies. And all I'm going to do is mix these with my melted butter. So I opted to use the whole thing of cookie crumbs. I just think it made it a little bit drier, not too much. This is just absolutely perfect. So typically you would add a little bit of sugar and brown sugar to the crust, but with this particular crust, we're not gonna do that. So I'm taking a 9-inch springform pan, and all we're gonna do is put our cookies and butter mixture in the bottom of the pan. Now you can use the back of a spoon if you like, but I just take my hands and kind of put this together. Looks like I had a little bit of cookie here, didn't get quite ground up. But you just wanna cover the whole bottom of the pan with this cookie crumb mixture. All right, we're gonna make this as flat as possible. And just make sure that the whole bottom of our cookies, of our crust, is completely covering the bottom of the pan. Now I usually take because there is butter on my gloves, I usually just run them along the edge there. So we're gonna start off by beating 3 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese until the cream cheese is nice and fluffy. So we're gonna start off on low, and then we're gonna kind of pick it up to like a medium speed. And as soon as you have that cream cheese nice and creamy, just like this, it's kind of pulling away from the mixing tool and onto the side of the bowl. We're gonna turn it down and add a cup of sugar, granulated sugar. Just a little bit at a time. You want to make sure that this cream cheese and sugar is completely mixed together. All right, then we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla into our mix. And 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. We're going to turn this off, and we're just going to go along the sides of the pan. We just want to make sure that everything is being mixed in with the mixer as we're moving along. Now we're going to put in our sour cream. We have 2/3 of a cup of sour cream. We're going to add that. Start off on low. And then we're going to speed it up just a little bit. Then we're going to be adding a little bit of our egg mixture. We've got 4 eggs that are lightly beaten. We're just going to mix a little bit of the egg in at a time. You're going to see it's going to look kind of jello-y. It's going to be kind of jiggly. That's exactly the way it's supposed to be looking. So you have all of your egg incorporated into your cheesecake batter. So I am going to turn this off, and again, I want to just scrape down the sides of the bowl. I can see that there is some of this cream cheese that's kind of attached to the side of the bowl. So I want to make sure I get all that up so that I can get that, incorporated into my batter. When we finish our last little mix of our cream cheese or our cheesecake mixture, we're going to go ahead and get our oven started preheating. I've turned it to 325. And now I'm going to give it a little bit harder mix. You want to make sure that everything looks nice and glassy, nice and glossy. You don't want any clumps of cream cheese or egg or anything like that. You want all these flavors to meld together. So what I've done is I've taken a little bit of aluminum foil. I'm going to take my pecan cookie batter for the bottom, and I'm going to take my foil and just kind of wrap it around the bottom. I want to make sure there's no leaks in this cheese. So all I'm going to do now is pour my cheesecake batter right into my crust. I usually like to give it a little click here on the counter. You see all these little bubbles that are coming up? It just gets those out of the cheesecake. And there you go. We're going to put that in our preheated oven. We're going to cook it between 50 to 60 minutes, and I'll show you how it looks when it's done. You're going to be amazed. It's going to puff up. It's going to look completely different, but it is going to be so good. So our cheesecake is completely done. I just want to show you what it looks like. It just it's gonna look a little bit jello-y, kind of, gelling in the middle. But I wanna show you when I put a knife in the center of the cheesecake, and I need a very sharp knife, but you're gonna put it in, and it's kind of like a cake. It's gonna come out clean when that cheesecake's done. So we are gonna let this cool about 10 minutes. I am gonna leave it in the springform pan all night when I put in the refrigerator. But in about 10 minutes, I'm going to go around the side of the pan with the knife. All I'm going to do is just wait for this to kind of fall down a little bit, because right now it's really kind of puffy. But as it starts to cool, it's going to come down. I'm going to pull it all the way away from the sides with the knife. We're going to leave it just like it is for 1 to 2 hours on the counter. And then I'm going to put a piece of plastic over the top of it, and I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator when this is cool enough that it's not going to have any problems. And then what I do is I leave it exactly like it is until I'm ready to serve it tomorrow. This is for a baby shower that we're having. I'm going to decorate it with whipped cream, and I have some cherry pie filling that I'm also going to be putting over the top. This is going to be really beautiful and really, really delicious. So I will bring you back in just a couple minutes, because I do want to show you how this kind of cuts away from the sides. So as you can see, the cheesecake is starting to flatten a little bit. It's pulling away from the edge, and so it's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to go along the edge of this with a knife and just kind of cut it away. Some of this is already pulled away. It's already cooling quite a bit. As you can see here, like this is all pulled away. So there's really only a little bit you're actually pulling away from the edge. But while it's cooling and after it goes in the refrigerator overnight, we want it to continue to rest and pull away, and then tomorrow it's going to be really easy to put this together. We're not going to take apart the springform pan. We're gonna let it just go right into the refrigerator just like this. Oops, I think that's where we started, right here. So we're gonna go ahead and leave this for a couple of hours. We're gonna, like I said, cover it after it's completely cool, put it in the refrigerator and just let it set all night long. I am gonna leave it completely alone until it's time to serve it. Then I'm actually gonna put this together tomorrow just so that you can see how this cheesecake comes out after it's all decorated. So I will see you tomorrow. So it's the next day and my cheesecake is looking amazing. Let me show you what I'm doing to it to get it all decorated for the party. So I've taken it out of the springform pan. All I'm gonna do is put some cherry pie filling right over the top of it. I just want, I could have done a thicker cheesecake if I had, used a little bit smaller pan. I used a larger pan because there's a lot of people here. We are gonna have a cake and a couple other desserts, but I just wanted to make sure that if people wanted cheesecake, they could at least get a small piece of cheesecake. So I opted with this size pan, and I think it's gonna look absolutely perfect. So this is some whipped topping I'm gonna put over the top. Shake it really good. And I wanna put some little tiny kind of like little roses all along the sides of it. I'm gonna put one in the middle. And there you go, cheesecake. It was so easy. You saw me make it. It was easy. It's gonna come out absolutely delicious. I've made this before. It's a very good cheesecake. And I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a picture of it because the party doesn't start for a few hours, but I wanted to get this over to you so you could see how we do it. So here you go. I hope that you enjoyed this video. So have a great afternoon and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.